Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today. Thank you. The journey continues today on March 2nd, 2024 at approximately 4:25 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are literally the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I guide virtually every movement I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me, and they have worked for literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own efforts. With this in mind, today, again, we're back this Saturday. Glad you could join us. This is step 2 of designing the new you. Okay, working with your home. Now, let's start with a couple of obvious issues. Before we get into it, last week, well, gotta do something about that. Last week, we were discussing the whole idea of looking at you. Before we get into it, let's go right to the top here, and we've got Storm and Shadow in with the gold. How's it going there, Storm? Hopefully things have settled down to a dull roar for you, although in your case I doubt it. And Joe Stewart is joining us here with the silver. Oh, bonus. Just a thought there. And Joe goes, well, it appears I now have 6 spirit guides' voices. I'm cracking up. Here's the same thing I have been told literally by every psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, or student thereof in every field. If you're asking, am I losing my mind? The answer is no. Because if you were in fact losing your mind, unanimously they have told me that literally, okay, if you were losing your mind, you wouldn't be asking. You wouldn't even notice it. Yeah, you'd notice you got 6 voices, but there wouldn't be any question of whether or not you were breaking up. Okay, so rest assured, this will come as small consolation. At least in my opinion, you're not breaking up. Of course, I'm the one that's been talking to the dead since I was born, so that may not be a good marker. Coming in with the bronze, we have Steve Knox. Steve, glad you could join us. And honorable mention, we have LA Moon. And LA, I hope you're on the upswing. You seem to be, so that works out well. Now, what do we got here? And then joining us for a couple of extra people here, we have, where is it? We go, pop that over that side. And we blow this up because I can't see what I'm trying to add here. We have Chad Smith. And this is the link. Well, that's always nice. This is the link to land to Chad's live stream. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. Okay, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of the thing. And we have Ferret joining us. Ferret, how you doing? So, are you getting like snow and rain like we got here in the Okanagan? Hope not. I don't mind the rain. I grew up on the island. Oh, perfect. Now, let's get back to the task at hand, shall we? Good luck in my keeping things on a focal point. But let's look at the home. Now, there are a lot of ways of looking at the home, but we're interested in only one. Your home, the way you see it. Now, Some people, you may see the home as your body. Okay, bear in mind the soul, that little spark of life that makes you go. Okay, and we have snow and rain on Vancouver Island. Down in Texas, we have spring weather. Oh, hate to tell you this, snow and rain on the island is spring weather. Okay, and as you get later into the spring, you don't get so much snow. But let's look at your own home now. We start with the fact that you are that funny little spark of life, that little thing inside you that drives your entire existence. Therefore, you may consider your home your body. Okay. Now, there's a nice little jump. I would not mind that at all. Storm's just clarifying things. Spring weather down there is, down in El Paso there, is 75 degrees, right? Which works out to about 21, 22 in Canada. Okay, now in our case, right now, we are looking at 2 degrees. Okay, which works out to about 34, 36. Okay, and 30, 34, 36 in the States. Okay, now, with that in mind, your home. We start with the first part, your body. Okay, now your body is the physical body itself, not the clothing. This is your paint job. Okay, or if you grew up in the 70s, makeup, i.e., use a paint bomb and a spatula, get your makeup on. Okay, now with that, take a look at your body. Are you content with your body? This is where we start redesigning. Okay, are you the weight that you desire to be? Not so much what the doctor says. I will tell you this, the doctors have one idea. You've got to get straight. Do you feel good? Yeah, fair goes. I'm in the Hawaii of Canada. Yeah, an island surrounded by water. Short the volcanoes, because I don't think Vancouver Island actually has a volcano on it. But we take a look at redesigning. Are you happy with the way your body is? Okay. Now, I will warn you, today was just about a write-off. Okay. I have that neat little problem where my body decided it was going to argue with me. But are you physically looking the way that you desire? Start at the top, work your way down. Now, I look at this, and you'll notice my hair is not absolutely perfect. No kidding. Okay. But I'm not looking for perfection. Yeah. And he goes, oh, we have lots of beach, just no water. Now, I'm not quite certain there, LA. How can you have beach and no water? Usually I call that a desert, but what the heck? Yeah, and down under, I think you're down under. Robert, you're down in Australia, are you not? Oh, LA goes, we used to be an ocean. So did Mount Everest. But that's a whole different ballgame. There we are, Queensland. Yeah, there you are. Yeah. Robert's going 87 and humid. Now, you take a look at your body, okay? And hopefully, there are some of you that will stop, and I literally have met people like this. As they're walking by a mirror, they'll stop and they'll look at themselves in the mirror and go, "Oh, well, I've got a hair out of place," or "Gee, I'm not dressed absolutely perfect. My tie isn't absolutely straight." There are people that get hung up on that. Okay, I don't know if you're one of them. If you are, that's no problem. Your body, your life. Okay, take a look in the mirror. Ask yourself, are you content? Now, I'm looking at my body. Okay, well, I cover it up for a lot of reasons. Okay, you take a look at the physical power of it first. Is it working the way you desire it to? Now, these not happy with, but I am starting to work on the healing side of that, and we'll get to that in about a month here, I think. Okay, but look in the mirror, ask yourself, are you content with the way your body is first? Now, remember how I mentioned this last week. We're going to go through this one step at a time. I'm literally in the process of doing the same thing. So, from last week, did you take a look at the way you're seeing the world? Okay, what your idea of a solid mind is. Let's take a look at your house. Okay, at your body first. Now, in my case, like, you look at the physical, because the moment you open that you look at it, you take a look at the way you feel. Is your health up to what you're looking for? Okay. Do you have the energy you're seeking? Are you on medication of some form that you're not happy about being on? Now, before I go further on that, if you're on a medication you're not happy on being on, do not make the mistake of pulling yourself off it. If it's medically prescribed, do not make the mistake of eliminating it right off the bat. That's terrible, Robert, but I will agree with you. Okay. Joe goes, first and foremost, Joe's going, I'm watching last night's SOR. Oh, there you go. He's in the chat room with us. He's watching last night's SOR, Spaced Out Radio. Now, I was on Spaced Out Radio last night, and of course, as per usual, where are we? Not that. We're looking for that little detail. Spaced Out Radio. This is the link to Dave's show. Okay. Last night was intriguing. Okay. But again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like it, if you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Again, in, what are we, 2 months now? Well, today's the 2nd, so, 2 months and basically in 1 week, aka 9 weeks. Dave Scott and myself in this case will be down in Reno. Okay, for an interesting little gathering there. But Robert was gone. He's in here. He's watching Dave's show on his phone, and he's in the chat room. Okay. Now, myself, I'm watching us in the chat room. I'm actually doing the speaking, stumbling, stuttering, tripping over myself. But look at your body. Okay. Are you happy with the way it feels? If you're on medically prescribed medication, stay on it. Okay. Do your research, but do not quit it automatically. I told you guys the other day, I've been prescribed for a number of different medications I didn't like. In all fairness, now what I've done, I'm still doing research, but I've looked into it. I will be ending some of mine. And here's the neat part. My doctor retired, and technically, well, literally, I don't have another doctor. I've got to do things on my own and look at it. I'm not going to a doctor. I'm not trying to find a doctor before I figure it out. But I am doing research. Okay. But remember, all health of the physical body is done in conjunction with prescribed medication, with the so-called professionals. So people have been trained more than you have in all likelihood. Okay. But do your own research. With that in mind, okay, very important factor here. Once you got your body working, if you've got a chronic illness, something I will warn you about. Many people will tell you, your illness, whatever it is, whatever you're suffering from, is permanent. Now, much as every cell in the body has been proven by modern science, has been repeatedly proven to replace itself every 7 years. If you have lost a limb, if you've lost a tooth, the odds are you're stuck without it. Okay, without getting an artificial one. If you've lost a limb, lost an organ, the odds are if the organ is missing, you're not getting it back. This doesn't mean it can't grow back, just the odds are kind of against it. So you get your body looking at it going, are you content? Now, I'm not going to do a lot of changing of my features aside from effective today. Well, actually effective about a week ago. I started literally on the meditative process of repairing my eyes. Okay, these things, I require them right now to see what's on the computer, which I am very happy to report to a couple of people in particular. I can now see. Now, I only stopped the medication yesterday. Okay, I didn't stop it cold. I've weaned it off. Already, I can read what's on my computer over here. Okay, now how's that for an instant and for a rapid turnaround? Yesterday, I literally had to take my glasses off, and on my big monitor, I had to get my face literally that close to be able to see it. Okay, that's not the case now. So we can picture what's going to happen. Effective immediately, I have started working on rebuilding the optic nerve. Okay, because much as many people will tell you, your eyes, as you get older, your eyesight is going to fail. Your health is going to get worse. You're going to develop arthritis. It's going to be harder to move, harder to get up in the morning, harder to do a lot of things. These are all downsides. Oh, and let's not forget your hearing's going to go. Okay, I love the negative approach. You're getting old. You're breaking down. You're going to die. Well, you're going to die. Okay, you are. No question there. So you take a look at your internal health. Still can't read well enough with my glasses at close range. Once you've looked at the internal health and gone, okay, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm changing. In my case, I am looking at my ability, at my strength, my physical strength. Okay. So we look at your overall internal feeling, your overall appearance, your strength. Okay. Now, tied straight to your strength, I'll tell you, all the strength in the world, all the big muscles, don't amount to much if they won't do anything. Okay. So we have to look at your stamina, at your endurance. Okay. Also known as your cardio. Now, yes, you can work to hold your breath longer and longer. And here's a neat little key for you. If you're looking at improving the strength of your lungs, now do understand this is in conjunction with any medication you're working on, any doctor guidance. In conjunction meaning do what they're suggesting. If you don't know better, do what they're suggesting. Okay, but if you're looking at improving your health, these things come with a built-in stopwatch. Okay, remember how I said technology does have a use? Absolutely. Start by simply holding your breath. Don't deprive yourself of oxygen by any means other than holding your breath. The longer you can hold it, the longer you'll be able to hold it. Okay, I know that sounds really weird. But the key is, if you can't hold your breath any longer, you'll start to breathe again. Okay, this idea of using artificial means to cut your oxygen supply is absolutely stupid, and in my opinion. And quite frankly, you go back 40,000 years, people just shut down their entire bodies. Not a brilliant move. It killed half of them, roughly. Now, with your health, I'm going to be working on all of the above because I desire this vehicle very much like taking a car that you're building. Okay. And some of you are into physically rebuilding mechanical cars. Well, this thing is a biomechanical organism. This is the vehicle your body will, that your soul will live in until it dies or until you figure out how to get out of it. And yeah, walk-ins are another issue that we can discuss way down the road. Okay, but now you've got to look at the physical body that goes with you wherever you go. Whether you're sitting in a house, driving around, riding as a passenger, doesn't matter. Your physical body is going with you. Unless, of course, you die, at which point it gets taken one place you try and keep up. Shouldn't be too much trouble, but kickstarting the body again could be a little bit of a pain in the neck. And I do believe I missed somebody here. What? Where did I see? Oh, fair. Oh, this is where I caught it. I did not see you come in there, Will. And where, pray tell, did you come in? Oh, intriguing. Woo, I did not see you come in. Yeah, I love the way you put that. Have a greater evening. In other words, no matter how good your day has been, and this is paraphrasing, no matter how good your day has been to this point, have a better one. Okay. Do not let some outside influence, some outside individual dampen your spirit, your drive to have a better day. Okay. Now, you can't do anything about the one you've already had. But what you can do is you can turn around and go, okay, I'm going to make it better. So we've looked at your physical body. And again, guys, if you've got a question, doesn't matter what the topic, this chat room is still the same. We do our level best to make sure, to make certain this is a safe place for everybody. Okay. So keep an eye on the guidelines are at the top of the chat room. Okay. And here's the kicker to it. They're there for a reason. And my moderators, those people with the neat little blue wrench, those people have been asked by me directly to keep the disturbances in here at a minimum. Now, I was talking to one of them. I was actually talking to Storm yesterday, and something was brought to my attention, which we didn't actually get into the list. But this was the idea. It happens from time to time. Okay, coming in and making several comments that have no bearing on anything. Okay, is going to in the very near future it'll be listed. But just a heads up, if you come in with that idea in mind, okay, and the moderators catch it, you're going to end up being evicted. Okay, because everybody in here does have concerns. If you're putting something in and asking questions, absolutely do so. Okay, I will try and do my best to keep an eye on it. Okay, now where did I miss something here? Okay. Yeah, just noticing back here. Storm goes, when I had to wear dress clothes for work, I would line up everything. I'd line everything up perfectly, then turn my tie 5 degrees. Not obvious, but made people subconsciously uncomfortable. That's just me there, Storm. I like it. I was a little more extreme, but the reality of it is this. In this room, everybody has questions. Sometimes you may think you've got a question that's a little off and that's a little too blatantly obvious. GL, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So you jumped in so we can bore you so you can fall asleep. That always works out. Well, not necessarily, but Oh, but no, the reality is when you take a look, oh, there we go. When you take a look at it, everybody has questions. Many people ask a question in here that I know a lot of other people really have. Okay. Yeah. Well, look at the bright side, LA. At least he didn't turn around and wear it upside down. Put the tie around the neck, then take a hanger, set it on his shoulders so the neck and so the end of it hangs up here. Okay. With what I know about Storm, that giving him bad ideas. But no, you take a hanger and you make a loop out of it and then put it up in the air, just because it looks so much more like what I feel like when I get one. Well, that is true. Like I said, I'm a little more twisted. But, so we've taken a look at your physical body. Now, let's take a look at the material world around you. Understand, people will judge you by the way you look. You don't have to like it, you don't have to buy into it, but it may be advisable to pay attention to it. Okay, now, I know for an absolute certainty, people will judge you from what I've seen. They'll judge you by the way you look, by the way you talk, by the way you speak, by the way you portray things. Fortunately, they can't really judge you by the way you think, or a lot of us would be locked up in nut houses. Okay, or worse. Now, when I take a look around this room, okay, you can't see it, but on my workstation here, on my computer desk, okay, I've got it laid out so I know exactly what I'm working with. And we start with the room you spend the majority of your time in. This is in all likelihood your bedroom. As you can see, my bedroom, my office, same thing. Hence why my working desk is so comfortable. By the way, this thing, I didn't like the blankets I had, so I made my own. Okay. But you take a look at the room you're in. Are you content with the layout of all of it? If you are, this is great. I look at mine going, I've got a lot of clutter here that I don't like. Okay, so it's being removed. But my workstation itself is very clear at this point. Now, what's that? I know what that is. That can go up there just because I'm working on it. But I've got the area here is clear so that I know if I require something, I've already got it laid out. I will tell you, the less clutter in your life, the better the energy will move. And this will make you a lot more energetic, a lot more productive, if you will. And I mean productive in your own eyes. Yeah, GL, I did. Took me a while, but that one, ironically enough, that one I made myself. I made a couple of others, and I could go to show and tell. But Joe, a vision board. Glad you asked. Let's uncover one little detail here. That's not a vision board, by the way. I'm actually unburying one because of the fact that it's easier to show you this way. That just about didn't work. This is a vision board. Okay. Now, this is just the start of it. I'm in the middle. Okay, my internal house is right here. Okay, as in my physical body. I'm looking at that. I've got it laid out now. So now, laid out as in I know what I'm aiming for. Now, on top of that, I'm now looking at the office. Okay, I've just gone, this is the next thing I have to fully lay out, fully design in order to create what I'm aiming at. Now, a more complicated one, okay, is this one here. Okay, and what did I do? Whoa. Okay, this was just, again, looking at organizing things. Start with your center point. Got to organize the money. We've got to organize the clutter. And by organizing these two, it will increase my energy flow. This applies to you as well, by the way. Then we look down a little further. Around me, we've got my physical body and my mental body. Okay, the physical and the mental body, as in how I feel, how my body is put together. Then I can look at the wardrobe. And let's face it, nobody else wants to look at the wardrobe either. Okay, now a vision board can be as extensive as you'd like or as simple. Okay, back in the 1970s, 1980s. Do I have my there? Oh, there. Back in the 70s, 80s, they called it a bucket list. Now, when I started looking at my business itself, okay, this is all the various different things I was looking at. You'll notice that they're linked. You start with the center, and what are you working on? Here's the different things you've got. Okay, taking care of the physical health. What does that mean? Okay, look at the ancient tools, the modern tools. This is all about the healing center, by the way. The healing center, I mean the process of building. All of these things are interconnected, and the trick with a vision board is the more detailed it is, and I don't mean the more cluttered. I mean have it worked out so that you know what you're doing with it. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. Okay, doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you. But a vision board, there's an old saying that goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay, yeah, just looking at this here. GL's going, LA goes, my room needs tidied too. Then I need to talk to my son again about his. Now, here's the neat thing, LA, and I agree with you because I've got 2 kids that I got to do the same thing with. But here's the thing. Okay, when I was growing up, my parents, there were 8 of us in the house. And my parents went, okay, one of 2 things. Number one, they would take the bedroom doors. They close the bedroom door and go, as long as you don't have food stuff in there or have bugs coming in, your room is your responsibility. You got one of 2 choices. Keep it clean, or I go in and clean it. It's that simple. And I realize some of you will look at that and go, but my kid's an adult. And that matters why. Your house, your rules. Remember that thing. Your house is the man is the king of his castle. I got news for you. That's a cute thought. If you're single and you're female, you're still in charge of yours. If you're not married, if you've got a partner, that room in that building is not yours alone. Okay, it is a corroborative effort. I know, JL, I really don't. And here's why. Okay, I will get to that in a second. But when you take a look at your room, okay, at the fact you've got rooms that require clearing out, absolutely, definitely put your foot down with the general areas. Okay, I got to do the same thing. I am by no means perfect, but you take a look at this room. Okay, now this room here. Okay, I look at this. This is all the sorting for, because this is also my office. These are things I require. I'm looking confused, right? No, I'm looking confused for a real simple reason. I'm not the only one that requires a drink. And every now and again, my brain will kick into gear and I'll go, oops. And therefore, grab this poor little guy, give him a little bit of water. For some reason, he can't get out of his pot to get his own water. And since he doesn't mind if the water's warm, I don't worry about it. But we have this stuff. Some of this I've got to get moved out of here. That one would be an idea. But this will take you back to the 70s. We have our own little bat cave. Pull the bin out of the way. And I've got my thermostat hiding behind here. But this stuff is all... You'll notice I'm clearing things off as I go. That seems to be a normal thing. Take a look at the layout of your primary room. Wherever you start with your primary workspace, where you pay attention to your finances. Okay, and we'll be getting to the finances on another day. And who do we got in here? World, how you doing? Oh, okay. World, I do appreciate that. And before I appreciate that much further here, we pop this in. Where is World? Here we are. This is the link to World's live stream, to World Bigfoot Radio. And I will tell you some of his information is mind-blowing. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, it is the cross-referencing, the cross-referrals to each other that is going to help us turn this world around. Okay. No, in all fairness, JL, I really haven't. Okay. Christine, I didn't see you come in. How you doing? Oh. Oh, now there you go. See, this is the thing. This is one of those neat little things. All these people that I send to different streams, most of you have guests on that come on. Okay. I did years ago, but I don't now. There's a lot of reasons for that. Okay. But World Bigfoot has a world famous cryptid sketch artist. See, now an artist like that, I only dream about the possibility, not of talking to, but of getting to that point. Okay, but let's try and keep our head on straight. Good luck with that. Okay, now I'm taking a look at the clutter in this room. Now, as you can tell, I've got my workspace. Again, it boils down to this. Keep it moving clear. All of this stuff I'm organizing, I'm actually working on most of it. So, but you'll notice half of my bed, and I saw this stated one day, if you're single, meaning you don't have a partner living with you, most single people, male or female, half their bed is for sleeping on, the other half is for putting stuff on. Oh, Gio, it really doesn't seem that cluttered. But go back and look at my videos from a year and a half ago. Okay, you would be appalled by the amount of clutter that I had. Here, it's not bad in the slightest. Okay, but I used to have clutter all over the place. You know, this has been a work in progress. Understand, I took 55 years. Well, no, I started clearing it out, about 5 years ago. I really started working on clearing it. But you take a look at your primary area. The thing is, the more you get the stuff cleared out of the way, okay, and it's a neat little trick. this is why I've got this list handy. Okay, you have a list together on paper. Now, the neat little trick with the list is it works in every aspect of your life. I know it works in every aspect of mine. The world goes, I just built and installed a 6-foot tall bookshelf to help with the clutter here. Half the book boxes are now off the floor. Bonus! Absolutely what I was referring to there, world. Same thing I've been doing shy of the building part. I am putting money aside to replace the bookshelves I've got with actual oak. I personally like oak. Some people will go, oh, that's not a great, there's better looking. Probably is. I personally like oak. And I'll tell you right now, if there's one person I know of in the chat room that can explain the energetic reason for liking oak, that would be LA Moon. Okay. In my case, it's simple. I like it. And that's where I end the line in the questioning on it. Yeah. Oh, world goes, now I need another shelf the same size for my non-gaming books. Ain't that the sign of a true gamer? You should see my clutter up front. No, you really shouldn't. That's a nightmare. Of course, I'm trying to organize over 500 figures that I'm working on painting. But you take a look at it, you remove the clutter, the less clutter there is. Picture, if you will, a stream. Okay, like as in a river. Throw a bunch of junk into the river and see how smoothly that water flows. Energy and water work essentially the same way. Okay, they do the same thing. You throw a bunch of junk in the way, rocks, boxes, boulders, bodies, whatever. You throw junk in the way, and all of a sudden the water doesn't flow very smoothly. The Canadian beaver does a fantastic job of blocking off the entire, an entire river system so they can get the water they desire. I'm suggesting doing the opposite. Take all the clutter that's in your room, in your primary. Couple of things happen. Get the clutter out. You will sleep better. You do not have to believe me on this. Do your own research. Now, I'm looking at the cluttering here. Now, of course, I've got this. Okay. Now, where it comes to cataloging, this particular book or this particular poster is the front cover of the Yldrbacian Chronicles, Birth of the Wolf Pack. Okay, that's this one here. Okay. Now, the other two up there, that one is already in print. If you look at the link at the top, Buy Me a Coffee, these are available through that link. Okay, but the front and the poster over there is this cover with an added little bonus of a little button here that says 12 volume series. Okay, which gives you an idea how much we're working on. Slight update. We are now on final run. Everything is sorted out. Boy, did I make a breakthrough yesterday. No, this morning, rather. The other two posters that you see up there, can't quite see them. Primarily. Well, no, there you go. The other two posters, that's an idea. The other two posters that you see up there, these two, are the back cover of Birth of the Wolf Pack, and the second book in the series is the back cover of End of an Epoch. Now, here's the neat little update. I just had the cover work sent to my printer for Return to Paradise, which is the third and final book in the fourth trilogy. Okay, so it's already over at the printers. I will go over tomorrow, on Monday, to take a look at it. Where'd my coffee go? Again, the more organized it is, the less clutter, the more you understand about where things are. the quicker and more effectively the energy is going to run. This will have a couple of effects. One, energy starts to run much smoother. Net result, you have higher drive, much higher productivity levels. And I'm referring to higher in your eyes, not in mine. Realistically, if your house is a cluttered mess, it's not going to have that big of an impact on the way my world is. Unless you're constantly coming to me going, oh, my life, my house is an absolute disaster and, nothing's changing. I'm going to warn you about something here. So many people talk about, oh, thinking about doing something is as good as doing it. I'm like, really? Then why is my house not completely empty of clutter, lined with all the finest stuff in the world? Because I think about it all the time. And amazingly, nobody has turned around and brought all this fine stuff to me. You gotta get off your tail feathers. I don't care who you pray to. Don't care who you want to point the finger at. You're the one that's going to have to do this. I know it's a pain in the neck, but I was told thinking about doing it was as good as doing it. You were lied to. That's the only, I know that's a rude thing to say. Well, I don't like being called liar. I didn't say you lied to anybody. I said you were lied to. Okay. First rule of thumb. Well, not the first one, but a rule of thumb. When I'm talking, number one, no filter. Brain goes into gear, mouth hype and drops out what's coming up. And then that funny little voice in your head that most people seem to have a voice that says, oh, wait a minute, you shouldn't say that. Mine's really quick on the uptake and it goes, hey man, you really shouldn't have said that. Oops. Absolutely there, world. Yeah, world goes, good intentions are only the first step on the journey to success. Absolutely, that is very much the case, which is kind of coincidental because the process of writing of one of the books I'm writing is literally the steps of success. Okay, as they come out, you will be let know. Okay, it just works out that way. But thinking about doing it is absolutely fantastic. But this neat little list method, I got up this morning, worked out really well. Speaking of which, got up this morning. I'm in the middle of changing things around, so my energy decided to do a stupid thing, and that was why I was over here. I think I was over there before the show, but I was turning down the thermostat. My body does not like me right now. I'm sure of it. Hey, what do you think? I keep reaching for this to grab my coffee. Here's the thing. I pour the liquid out of my coffee cup. Okay. How's that going to go down trying to drink it? I keep grabbing hold of this thing going, that ain't going to work. Okay. I think my coffee's a little better. But the more you get the clutter out of your home, first and foremost, get the clutter gone. As that goes, now you start looking at making the backbone of it solid, but you got to get the junk out of the way first. Or at least it would be advisable. Otherwise, what happens is you take all the junk, move it off, put the new furniture in. These shelves back here, okay, that shelf over there, okay, is going to end up the same size, but I will be replacing it and its twin over in this corner with oak. When I do that, they will be replaced. Okay, and then I'll figure out what to do from there. Here's a neat little thing, Joe. I actually took it to an interesting level. The dream journals you're talking about. Mine gets done a little different than yours does, but literally daily, okay, every day, I take a sheet of loose leaf paper. Okay, and here's the way this works for me. I take a sheet of loose leaf paper and I write 1 or 2 pages every day, at least one. Okay. I take that, write it on loose leaf paper. Now that all sits in my filing cabinet over here. Okay. Whoop, did that wrong. J. Dropped under J in my filing cabinet in order. Okay, now here's the neat little part. That dates back a couple of years. I believe I'm working on 23 right now. I wonder what year I'm working on. Of course, I'm adding to it as I go along. We are up to... Oh, yeah. That stack of papers. Okay. That stuff that I showed you there, the earliest stuff in paper that I've still got right now, is from 2019. I write it down, and then I turn around. Okay. I turn around, get it in, get it transcribed. My other half is transcribing it for me. I read it off, and rest assured, that's a chore. Read it off and add it to the computer. When I get it done, when I get all of the stuff done, I will end up turning around, getting it in hard copy, and this is what my grandmother did. Well, more to the point, she did the same thing without the computer. And eventually, this is the outcome of what my grandmother wrote. This is her autobiography. I don't know if it's going to go on to if this is going to end up going on to the open market. I won't know that until later this year when I talk to my brothers in person. Where are we here? Oh, I've done that before. That's why that's this one here. It's way out of reach right now. Same idea, and I'm sure you recognize that one there, LA. Okay. Yeah, always keep your bad drinks out of reach. Okay. Now, Steve goes, yeah, yuck. It really is. But keep the stuff that you don't desire to be drinking out of reach. You know, just like your mom did with the stuff she didn't want you drinking. For some of us, putting it out of reach didn't work that well. In my case, really didn't work that well. As a child, I was also an uncontrolled psychokinetic. I'd think about it, and there it was. Worked out really well. Got me into a lot of trouble. Yeah, world goes, what's even worse is when your eyes are burning so you can't see. You grab for the Visine and get ow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, use super glue instead of Visine. Not a good idea. Buddy of mine was over, and of course, I keep water in bottles for my plants, but I keep them in Coke bottles. My buddy who drinks Coke constantly, right, reaches over. I happen to have a bottle of water in a Coke bottle on the table, and he wasn't thinking. He reaches over, expecting a drink of Coke, grabbed extremely stale water. Yeah. LA's going, yeah, I've seen that happen. ER doctor wasn't thrilled. No doubt. You think the ER doctor wasn't thrilled? You should have tried the person that did it. Oh, that's terrible, Joe. Yeah. Joe goes, if I just decide to start writing in my dream journal too, in the morning first thing, I'll easily drink 5 cups of coffee, cream and sugar just to focus. Uh-oh, that's a problem. Okay, I will tell you, like I drink, I get up in the morning. This morning, for instance, I was up, when was I up this morning? Whoop. Oh, yeah. Went to bed. What was last night? Last night was Saturday. And then we had 13:30 to 15:30. That worked out well. Okay. Yeah, the thing is, Joe, when it comes to dream journals or journaling in general, okay, the one thing it's proving, when I started going, I started reading this book. As you can see, well, maybe you can, but I'm about halfway through reading it now. Here's what this has told me, and this is the same thing that if you're doing a journaling, you do put it to print for your own family. What it will tell you, this book was about the early 1900s. Okay, and I'm telling you, I'd love to say that, you can look into history and it says, oh, this is the way things were. I'm telling you, that's a personal account. Okay. Trace, how you doing? Glad you could join us. We can get really badly sidetracked in case you hadn't noticed. But once you get the clutter out of the way, and that's still a work in progress, but I've got a bookshelf here. The top two shelves here still have to be sorted around. Well, top three if you count the top of it. Half of it, this is all inventory here. And all the way over there, that's all inventory. Get the clutter out of the way, then start replacing the furniture to what you desire. In my case, I'm going after the best of the best. Now, that said, here's the way that works. All this paperwork, yes, I use my bed as a working desk. Okay, but I intend wholeheartedly in replacing all of this paperwork with the best of the best. My other half when I can get her up here. Okay. Because the way I figure it, it's all connected. Right now, that works for sorting things out. Rest assured, when she's here, I'm not covering the bed with a bunch of paperwork. At least not while she's trying to get into it. But take a look at what you see as the best. In my eyes, I'm going after oak because I like it. Okay. Don't know what I'm going to do with this shelf here. I'll probably end up I don't know if I can take. Of course, brain goes in hyperdrive. I'm like, what is that? In case you hadn't noticed, I don't necessarily get focused that quick. That's 28 inches. This is 30. Bonus. Still won't be able to do that and get to the thermostat. Oh, yes, I can. I just don't know how to do it yet. When I go to move that bookshelf, all I got to do is cut a hole in it, or more to the point, get a friend of mine, anybody that can spot a hole and put it in properly, and get them to cut a hole in it to go around the thermostat so I can put the shelf there. That's the easy part. Finding somebody else. I've got all kinds of people I know. Okay. But I look at it going, I desire this stuff to get cleared up. Okay. Now, one of the biggest things we have. Yeah, no, I'm just looking at this. Going back to the crazy gluing the eye shut. LA's gone. It's a pain trying to grow your eyelashes back. Yeah, pretty much the same as a buddy of mine that we were at a party together. He was a moonshiner. He brought 2 quarts of mountain moonshine. Now, as you guys have ever drank, know, if you've ever tried mountain moonshine, that stuff is potent. Now, the comical part was he brought 2 quarts of it. We were going to have a good party. And he is the one that was smoking when he cracked the lid on the bottle. Well, needless to say, when he cracked the lid on the bottle, the moonshine went up in smoke, just a massive pillar of fire. which brings to mind another pillar of fire, but that's a whole different issue. But I'll tell you, he had his head over it. The guy that built the Mountain Moonshine had his head over top of the bottle when he broke the lid open. All of a sudden, no hair on his face at all, including his eyebrows. Took him forever to grow them back. Bear in mind, he was also half Oriental. So he didn't grow a lot of hair well anyway. But you take your primary room. Now I'm looking at this room. Last year I made the mistake of going, I'm going to change the entire house. Now, world, that's terrible. World goes, 2 blocks from here is a speedboat on a trailer. The boat says Kelowna, BC on the back. Below the name, should I leave a note on it that says, Keith says hi? Well, as long as you're talking about a note, I don't see a big problem with it. Okay? Just because it comes from Kelowna doesn't necessarily mean I know the person. We are talking a city of 130,000 people now, I think, or somewhere thereabouts. I certainly don't have a problem with it because a simple note isn't doing any damage to anybody. I was just asking the same thing there, Ferret. What's going? Oh. Now, what state is Missoula in? It's funny. I'm actually, for somebody that doesn't travel, this year, I'm going to be down in Reno, Nevada this year. Then I'm going down to Texas. There we are, Montana. Yeah, I won't be in Montana this year. I don't even know if I fly. I'll be down in Reno, Texas, over in Utah, and I forget whether I am going both. But not bad for somebody that doesn't travel well. I'm thinking they probably drug it down on a boat trailer. Either that or they hit a portal and we end up with another problem. But here's the other, when I'm talking about modifying the clutter and what have you. These here, all of these are Boston heads. And to give you an idea, now GL, this one isn't, I don't think. No, that's not a true one. Okay. Some of them are Boston heads, but they're little figures, little figureheads. This is one of those weird things I end up collecting. But to me, this represents the fact that I take all people equally. I treat them. Now, the reality of that collection there is I've got over 100 of those hanging up in my hall. Okay, but they're all of different nationalities, they're all of different people, including a couple of Arboreans. I think I've got one out there that isn't just a face. But to me, that is one of the ways that I look at it and go, this simply carries my energy that I take everybody equally. Okay. Like this neat little globe here. Okay, that's all it is. Can't see much on it in the way of reading it. But it is simply, you've got everything, and like I said, everything is connected. The more connected, the more organized you are, the better the energy is likely to run. And he goes, got orange soda and cream. You chew the back end off of an eagle pen. Those of you at my age may recognize the name Eagle. The Eagle brand does not taste near as good as Eagle brand condensed milk. But you get everything organized and you start eliminating the things you're not content with. Okay. It's just that simple. As you can see up in the top corner above the door up, that there is the figurehead of a wood bison. Again, it happens to be one of these neat little things that just links everybody together. Okay, this is my world as it starts to expand out. Okay, and it's going to continue doing that as I remove the clutter. Okay, where are we here? Yeah, Storm goes, but the nail glue is in the top drawer beneath your lamp. Yeah, but if you dig into a drawer to find your coffee cup or your pop, there might be an interesting problem. Yeah, that's why I hear that world, which is probably why I'll never buy it. I don't like fudge. Don't like chocolate. But that's me. I do know that when you look back, okay, when we went down to lockdown, everybody was worried, we're running out of artificial powder or artificial stuff well, it's kind of like buying stuff from the grocery store, from a restaurant that's pre-made. You don't have to do anything. Not gonna touch that one with an 80-foot pole there. You'd be surprised where I found her coffee cup sometimes. Am I correct, Farrad, in assuming that spinners is another type of condensed milk or something to that effect? Or are we talking about something else? Because I don't recognize the term. But that's just me. I'm a bit dense. Malu, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So we're looking at how, and again, taking a look at this whole idea of the list. Okay. I've got all this stuff I'm working on. One of the big things I've got to start pulling apart. Yeah, I'm amazed. Mine's still actually running reasonable. That's the weird thing. Yesterday, my computer was working beautifully. Okay. I talked to Dave before the show. His computer was working beautifully. We got onto the stream together, and all of a sudden we had all kinds of technological drag. Where is there? One of the things that I have found, this neat little bag here. You see the blanket on my, obviously you can see the blanket on my bed there. This is another blanket I'm working on. But this one is for somebody else. It's one of the goals I've got to get finished this year. I'm not pulling it all out. But this whole thing is that blanket. It just happens to be one of the Christmas gifts I'm working on. The world goes, that's just because you're both in Canada and both lines suck. Yeah, no doubt. I won't argue with you there. I've literally, with the company I've got that I work with, I've got the fastest link that they've got. Okay. Now, I've worked with the other one before, but the customer service with the other one just annoyed the heck out of me, so I went to this one. I still think, the North American Indians had the right idea. They used to communicate by smoke signals. Okay. They used to communicate by smoke signals, never had a problem with power outages. Sometimes had a problem with too much power. But Go back to the mail service. There's a brilliant idea. 100 years ago, mail got, write a letter, send it, got delivered from one side of the country, of the continent, to the other side of the continent in 7 days. Enter the modern world. Technology at its finest. Faster, more efficient. 3 weeks to get it from one side of the country to the other. Heck, it'll take you 7 days inside the same city. I'm not entirely certain. I'm really not entirely certain about it, because I look at it going, okay, how can it take that long? You might just well walk down the street and deliver it. Or, knock on the door. Yeah. Well, let's put it this way there, Ferret. I'm not going to get involved in arguing about the state, because the entire setup is backwards. Okay. It's kind of a weird setup, but we work with what we got for the moment. But this is why I say this this stream here, I'm looking at the things that are working. Now we can point out all the things that are wrong. Okay, there's a lot of things that I don't agree with, a lot of things that you don't agree with. Half of you probably don't agree with half what I say, but here's the neat little kicker. Okay. Absolutely there, Christine. That term is almost older than Methuselah, I believe. I remember my grandfather used to use that one. Now my grandfather came he originally came here from Wales. And I'm telling you, we got to take a look at what's going on. And I implore you to really start pushing the issue of changing this outlook. When people look at immigrants coming in, everybody coming to North America, at some point, okay, if they're moving here, if you go back in history, at some point, your ancestors got here. Okay, I'm guessing that people did not just all of a sudden magically appear and go, oh, we have a full civilization fully installed. It had to start somewhere. Immigration and immigration around the world has gone on for millennia. But the way we treat newcomers, heck, the way we treat people in our own community is absolutely appalling most of the time. This is what we have control over. Okay. Bigfoot's going, I have 3 guests in Canada right now that I want to record, and none of them can get enough signal to do it from home. That doesn't surprise me. When I pick up my new system, I'm doing one thing. I'm just waiting for my estate to come clear. Then I'll be picking up a state-of-the-art with a signal booster. Okay. And I will be talking to computer techs. Intriguingly enough, guys, the best computer tech I know happens to be in the United States. Okay. So I will deal with him and make sure I'm on the right track to get what I require. I've got another computer tech in town here, and you'll love this one. He's a wonderful chap. He's also clinically paranoid schizophrenic. World. I'm going to be looking into StreamYard, but here's the kicker with StreamYard. My computer, every time I try and put something on it, throws an absolute hissy fit and jams. Okay. It just completely collapses. So, I tried putting something on here the other day. Everybody said it works like an absolute charm. My computer won't let it run. Okay, I forget what program it was. I tried putting something in. The neat little part is I'm looking at upgrading. Absolutely. But certain things I won't upgrade. Like for instance, my outlook on life, I've done my best to upgrade it and go, oh, these people that are trained, they've got an idea. Yeah, world goes, I've recorded people and guests in Australia. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. And no offense to anybody in Australia. I've got friends in Australia. Okay, I nearly ended up living there, or more to the point, my dad did. But I look at the way that this is, and I go, okay, let's get the excess clutter out of the way and move it elsewhere. Moving it elsewhere, by the way, means don't pick it up and move it to a new location. Okay, as that gets out of the way, I will be able to change things around, get the energy moving, and the same thing applies to you. Okay, I will be changing my wardrobe and what have you, but that too comes in order of necessity, as it were. As you get rid of things, and this is a neat little part, and I haven't seen him in here yet, but now I don't know. Yeah, you can just see it. Over here, that's one of 3 tomato boxes of old comic books that I'm going to be going through. And I've already got somebody in the States, and again, somebody in the States that's going to give me a hand to find out what their actual value is so that I can start selling them. Yeah, I'll tell you though, I love it because we look at Canada here, okay, and so many people say it's the land of ice and snow, which is absolutely true if you go far enough north. I can't tell you the number of people that have come up. Like 2 years ago, well, I guess before now, just before lockdown, there was a tour bus that came up here from the southern states. Okay. It was a tour, it was not just a tour bus, it was the entire tour group covering people from 3 or 4 states. And I really don't know if there's 3 or 4. So pardon that. But they had people there from Texas all the way across to Southern California. Bigfoot, how you doing? Long time no see. This, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll use the term, somewhat broadly because it refers to every species, but this is the other gentleman I know that has some phenomenal footage where it comes to Bigfoot. And this here is the link. Where is Bigfoot? DMR. There we are. This is the link. Okay. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. I do feel that things are going and that you'll be quite pleased with it. The neat part about it is, again, this, because I get so much support in here from you guys, it really is a question of turning around and going, by sharing the links, okay, I turn around, this is my way of going, okay, I don't have time in my day to get to all the different places. Okay. Now, and see, we took a little bit of a dip. See, I'm a pretty big dip, so I don't mind having little dips. Yeah, we just popped out again. I just noticed that today. I dropped a few points yesterday, a few subscribers yesterday, but I know when I get up to even 605, 610, we'll be stable above the 600, and we are going to complete. We are going to complete the journey. I'm aiming, and I know this is a staggering number, but all of this is geared to one thing. This is the central point of the World Healing Center, of the active healing center that I'm building. Actually, it's an active recovery center, but the way I'm doing it, I'm starting with the idea and reaching out from a spiritual standpoint to pull people into the circle, into the web, to make this happen. The internet, much as there's lots to be complained about. I absolutely agree. You know, where are we here? Yeah, fair. Just pointing out, where it comes to the cell service, there are three groups, three companies, corporations, people, don't care what you call it, that have an absolute monopoly. Here's the silly part: churches have done the same thing. Mainstream religion has done the same thing with religion, and they've got a monopoly on it. So let's be real. Politics, corporations, religion, medical, the whole thing, all of it is built on a corporate superstructure. Okay. And for those of us that are gamers, Shadowrun rings a real clear bell. Okay. Not necessarily a brilliant one, but a real clear one. I look at the whole like I'm not going to get sidetracked on that one, so we're just going to bypass that. When we look at your home, now bear in mind we're looking at the home. Okay, the home is where you spend the majority of your time, primarily where you eat and drink most of the time. Okay, some of you have a business that you spend probably more of your waking hours there. So I take a look at it. Every one of you, think of it this way: your home, that is where you are the governing body. Now, granted, you have to follow the laws of the land in which you are, which means if the country you're living in, and I only pick on these people, point them out because it's obvious. If the country you're living in says you can smoke anywhere you desire, okay, in your home, in your community, you can turn around and go, okay, you can't smoke in my house. Okay, that you can do because you're not contravening the law of the city you're living in. You're simply saying, in this little pocket, you want to smoke anywhere, be my guest outside. Okay. Conversely, if the world outside, if the community outside says you're not allowed to smoke anywhere in the city, you cannot in your house tell people, oh, in my house, I can smoke and you can smoke as much as you want, because it goes against the law of the city in which you're living. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. In my house, I look at it and go, if I let you through the door, then food is available. Food, coffee, it's on the go. If you've run out of coffee, absolutely, if you use up the last pot, if you know how to make it, make more. Okay. If you don't, yell about it and somebody will make it for you. It was the same way in the play it was literally the same way in the place where I started gaming, what we called the Hobbit Hole. Okay, you come through the door, there was always food on the stove, there was always a coffee pot on the go. So when we're talking about laying down laws, and this applies to anybody, whether you've got adults or children living with you, okay, the two primary people. In my case, I only have one primary. I'm the one man that is listed as, this is essentially, it's not my house. I live in it. I call it mine. I live in an apartment. In here, I go, this is what I'm expecting. Okay. My two boys are both adults. Okay. But they too follow the same rules. Now, granted, I got to come down a little bit more stably. I'm making sure everything gets cleared up. This room is my big concern right now. And I'm telling you, the more clutter I get out of the way, the happier I am about it. Oh, that's what that is. I think. Now I'm curious. Again, my brain goes and does weird things. Oh, okay, that's just friends of mine. Trying to figure out why I've got this picture here. But you take a look at where your house is, okay, and what's laid out in it. Start with the energy in the room that you spend. I warn people, wherever you work on your finances, that is the room, that is the area you start with, because you get the finances sorted around, and you will be able to afford the other changes that are necessary. One of the things that where it comes to where to start, and again, this literally is one of the things I've done, is these neat little books. Very, very small. They're not little books. What it boils down to is they're very condensed. Every one of these, okay, and any book that I show you here, if I've written it, okay, the one of my grandmother's autobiography, I didn't write. Okay, weird part. There it is. This is that book by Aleister Crowley. Okay, and nice part there. This is just an update for you. This is actually an update for you, LA. The major part of the book, I've already finished. What I'm into now is the appendices I'm going to be going through. Okay, I didn't write this one either. I also didn't print it. Okay, the autobiography I printed, as I mentioned, what is coming out of here is I'm building a publishing company where I can actually take other people's work and get it into print for them, but I don't desire ownership of it. I've got no interest in ownership. Okay, but yeah, I'm already halfway through it. It will be coming down when I come down. I'm thinking at this point, because of the other side of it, I'm likely looking at around the end of July. And yeah, I know that's right smack in the middle of the hottest time of the year. I'm not worried about the heat. I can work with that. Okay. It's just a question of I've got one other trip that I want to have enough room to make. And since I don't like traveling in the ice and snow, yeah, I know I live in Canada and I don't like the ice and snow. I'm not moving to the States. So you'll be happy to know, guys, I come down to the States, I will be going home. The other book that I'm in the middle of reading, I also didn't write. The Bible. I remember a lot of the things from there. Not the way they're written, by the way. I remember I remember Rome, I remember Pompeii, I remember Manoa. That was a joy. I'll tell you, people talk about surfing in California. It had nothing over surfing in Manoa. Of course, Manoa, if you weren't surfing, you were probably dead, or way up on the hill, which is where I was. But as I get like those 3 books I'm reading, I'm already through. Where did they? Oh, it went out there. I've got probably 20 books that are lined up to be read. Again, this is something I found out. I never read much as a child. Okay. I think I missed that one. I was there when Krakatoa went. I'll tell you, that just blew the top off the world. But these books are designed. This one, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, that covers the backbone of how I took my life from being extremely reclusive to being what I am now. Highly annoying, outspoken, and opinionated. I'm not sure that was a good move. But, okay, that's that one. Then we have Believe in Your Business, which literally covers the steps I've taken to go from having nothing to now having a company that is starting to reach around the world. Okay, and I think it was Joe that pointed out I already am global. I think it was Joe Stewart months ago that told me that one. Then we have Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. This tells exactly the mindset and some of the tools that I used to take my financial life from barely surviving to now growing it. Okay. And I had somebody buy one of those of the Believe in Your Finances. They wrote back and said, look, before I got this, I managed to I had survived sort of, but I couldn't put any money aside. He writes me back and he says, with the tools in this book, I've now managed to finance a brand new car. Now understand, if you're financing a car, you don't own the thing. Yes, your name's on the title. Okay, and yes, it's a brand new car. You're still paying for it. And there's an old joke that came out way back in the 80s. You know why the bank and why so many people park their cars at home and live in their own house? The bank doesn't have a big enough property to store all the cars in, or store the city in, or put all the houses in. Stupid part is, if you talk to the banks, most of them have financed the massive majority of buildings and vehicles in your community. Okay, I was happy to. Thanks for bringing that up there, LA. I was talking to a new recipient of the newsletter, a business owner, and he said, he told me flat out he got it, and he's really happy. And now we just start moving forward with it. Oh, there we go. Oh, Nathan, thank you for reminding me. That's terrible. But with that in mind, let's go here. This is the link to Nathan's show, right here. And yes, Nathan, thank you so much for reminding me. I'm glad I actually ended up grabbing a little bit of a nap today. This is the link to Nathan's show. Okay. And yes, we are going to continue with the conversation regarding the people of Antarctica and what's going on there. Okay. So yes, this is just to confirm I will be there tonight for the show. So, well, like you just said, half an hour, in about an hour, we go live. We close here in about a half an hour, and that'll give us enough time to get things sorted around. I'm really glad you reminded me, mind you, because I was looking at it going, hey, I get done this, I can go and I can go play Skyrim for a couple hours. No, I can't. Well, I technically could, but I won't. Absolutely there, Nathan. Okay, and let me see. Gotta make sure I've got what I was looking at. This. That's some of the information. Yep. Gotta be one of these. We've got a lot of stuff that's going on. And it's a riot when on Nathan's show there in an hour. We get into some really neat details that, in all fairness, I usually remember as we're going along. Ferret, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Really appreciate it. I'm looking at clearing everything up here. Okay, and getting the energy running. And on top of, when you take a look at your entire house, I'm literally clearing the garbage medication. And I call it garbage because, quite frankly, you'll love this. The medication I got put on, and I did tell the doctor I would take it till my system was straightened out. She told me she wanted it, she desired me to be on it for life. One medication designed to clear up my, my blood pressure increases my sugar level. So they give me another medication to drop my sugar level. I'm not sure if this was wise. Side effect, as near as I can figure, side effect of the cholesterol pill, of the blood pressure pill, was kidney failure. Nice trade-off. Okay, but that's okay because the sugar modifier, that's wiping out my eyesight. I'm not sure, but this doesn't seem really useful. Okay, for some reason, I'm not talking to the medical doctors to find out exactly whether or not I should do it. So I went to people that I know absolutely will give me an honest answer and go, here's the reality behind it. And they've got nothing to gain. Okay, I mean, let's face it, keep me alive, you have to tolerate me being here. You get to figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I've started my mindset. I'm reading a lot more. Oh, yeah, absolutely, world. World goes, shamans dancing around the campfire would be more effective. Well, it depends. If you're trying to kill somebody, modern medicine works for a lot of people. I mean, I look at it going, there is something to be said. Now, understand, one of the medications that I'm on, I will stay on for the time being until I can rebuild my system. The other two, I'm pulling myself off. Not against doctor's orders. She didn't say you have to. And she told me she's retired now anyway. But I look at it going, you are responsible for your health. But if you don't know better, if you don't have the skill, turn to somebody that theoretically knows more than you do. I'm not a mechanic. I'll be danged if I'll crawl under the hood of my car and try and repair it. Okay, they don't have the hammer where you grab it. The old 1977 VW Bug. Grab a wrench and a hammer, you can fix almost anything. Today's world, a wrench and a hammer works really well to destroy a lot of things, but it doesn't work to fix much if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, I'm putting about 200 milligrams, about 2,000 milligrams. I'm guessing you take that in a pill form. And it's people like you, Nathan. Like Nathan's just saying that he eats cinnamon before a meal. Now, I'm guessing that's a pill. Yeah, because I'll tell you, years ago when I was still married, we took cinnamon oil, took an entire bathtub full of water. We had heard it would help my other half, my wife at the time, relax. It was good for cleansing. We put 4 drops of cinnamon oil into a bathtub. She climbed into it and right now took first-degree burns over 80% of her body. Okay, needless to say, we got her out in a hurry. Oh, okay. I will have to look into that. I know that taking cinnamon straight, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. And I did find cinnamon tastes really good on toast if you mix it with sugar, which, by the way, if you're diabetic, is a bad idea. Okay. Probably a bad idea if you're not a diabetic. But again, this is the care and upkeep of your house. Okay. Of that thing that you live in. Now, you don't have to believe, you don't have to believe whether you've got a soul or not. Cognitively speaking, it doesn't matter. Realistically, you don't have to believe in gravity, but I will tell you, Whether you believe in it or not, take it into consideration. Well, I haven't tried that before, Nathan, LA, but how much cinnamon are you talking about putting? I know with vanilla, some people like it. I know my ex does. With just a quarter teaspoon of vanilla poured onto the coffee grounds before brewing. But how much cinnamon would you put in to avoid overpowering or burning your face off? Like I said, I have no problem with the idea of clearing my system up and correcting the damage that's being done. I got no problem modifying my intake. It's very much like in your own home, in your own business, and don't kid yourself. You have the right to turn people away from your business, from your home, unless they've got that funny thing called a badge and a warrant. LA goes, I use a good teaspoon in your grounds. Now, I'm presuming that's a 12-cup pot. World goes, there's one Sasquatch over here that loves cinnamon. I bring a pillowcase size. I bring the pillow size bags of cinnamon toast crunch for him. Oh, there you go. Nathan goes, I use in my coffee creamer, cinnamon, turmeric, and honey. Yeah, a whole pot. I kind of figured as much. I've got a 12-cup pot, so that gives me something to work with. I don't use creamer at all. When I first started drinking coffee, I did use creamer. Now I put nothing in it. But adding something like cinnamon or turmeric, I got no problem with. Honey I use in a different fashion. The other thing with honey is unpasteurized honey. My dad was a type 2 diabetic. Okay. He used 1 teaspoon of unpasteurized honey a day. And he ended up working as a sheet metal tech with severe arthritis until he was 80 years old. I'm telling you, one of the most wasted commodities, well, the two most wasted commodities in existence today that I know of, is the wisdom of the ancients and the enthusiasm of the youngsters. Ancients, by the way, I don't mean the people centuries back. I mean the elders, is what I should have said to start with. People that have lived, especially if you've lived through things like my grandmother did, lived through the Depression. We lived through lockdown. Your kids have lived through lockdown. Down the road, it's going to happen again in all probability. Okay, go back 700 years, I think, and we had that neat little lockdown called the Black Death. Lived through that. No, Darwin had an incredible ability of weeding out the people our age, LA. We did I don't know about being stupid. I know when I was growing up, small town, we did something called bumper skiing. Okay, you'd wait for a car to slow down on the country road beside you. Right. Run out as it goes by. Crouch down. You're wearing runners. Crouch down, grab hold of the back bumper, and get drugged down the street while the car is driving. Okay, bad idea. In today's world, they told us we can't do that anymore. I'm thinking, they probably should have told us that before. But, yeah, or maybe they did and we just didn't listen. Okay, when I was growing up, there was an old saying. Every child will eat a bushel of dirt before they die. Preferably not in one sitting. Now, I'm taking a look at it going, okay, I'm flushing my system out. I have started reading more and more. Okay, which is why I've got 20, I think about 30 books, novels included, that are already on my list of books to read. Okay, and I'm reading them 3 at a time, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, tiger patterns are fun. Now, mind you, the neat part of their world is about 20 years ago, I was walking in town. I'm walking down the street, and sitting there across the front window was this, what I thought was a stuffed Black Panther, full length, right? Really well put together, I thought. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and all of a sudden it sits up, you know, opens its mouth, takes a big yawn. Fortunately for me, the owner was home, and he noticed I was looking, and he looks at me, he opens the door, he goes, "Would you like to pet him?" I went, "Absolutely." I managed in my lifetime, living in the middle of a city, to pet a live Black Panther. Okay, I'll tell you, you think your cat has a low rumble when it purrs? You ain't felt nothing till that. Now, a buddy of mine had the same pleasure with a Bengal tiger. Only his was a cub. Yeah, that's that a lot of the problem there, Malu, is a lot of the kids when I was growing up, they complained about the way that they were had things reined in. So what did the ones up this end do? Oh, there is no way that some teacher is going to discipline my kid. Would have been nice if many of the kids that became adults and had kids would have bothered disciplining their own. Okay. Nowadays we're looking at it. You know, now I'm looking at it going, you've taken all the discipline out of the schools and ignored the discipline at home and wondered why the world is turned upside down. We have a golden opportunity to straighten out our own world, to straighten out your own home before you place judgment anywhere, and do not judge other people. Okay? Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Absolute critical. Yeah, they really are. World goes, I got to stand next to a Siberian tiger. You know, I also, for those of you my age, you know, you know, yeah, kind of, I read that the other way. People my age will recognize this guy, Farley Mowat, the guy that wrote the whole background on the Wolf family. I was fortunate as a kindergartner. Don't know if it was kindergarten or grade one. Think it was grade one, but as a young child, I had the pleasure of meeting Farley Mowat and his purebred Timberwolf. And I'll tell you, I have not seen a dog that size since, a canine that size, up close and personal since. But they are an absolute dream to have around if they're not chewing your arm off. Okay, buddy of mine had a friend grizzly bear. Okay, I mean, it's just wild what is out there. And so many of us are not getting to meet it, to meet them. You know, from my standpoint, this is why we've got to start communicating with each other. Now, in this stream, this is a microcosm of what I desire to see this whole world look like. Now, I've been here before. Okay, I've literally been on this planet in past lives, telling people the same dang thing multiple lifetimes, that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Not a one of you is better than the next. You're all different, thank heavens. But not a one of you is better. Okay, and this is the thing we got to keep straight. By the way, I'm not better than any of you either. That neat little filter that many of you have developed, the one that says, oh, I shouldn't say that. I didn't get that filter. Mine was corrupted to start with. It comes in after the fact going, Keith, you probably shouldn't have said that. But then my dad, when he was a kid, came across a neat little idea. It's easier to ask forgiveness than ask permission. That is great if it's not a legal issue. If it is something written in the books, just don't break the law. I don't know about you, but I personally don't have time to deal with the vertical bar scene. LA, that may well be one of the reasons why we get along. It's funny. It takes getting used to somebody that, the thought comes up and out comes the mouth. It's like, oops. Happens way too often around me. It just, and it floors a lot of people. Like, I'll go to a restaurant and it always confused me. I'm sitting there, I'm getting my meal, and the waitress comes out and you hear everybody get asked the same question. Would you like the bill? Most people go, yes, please. I look at the waitress and go, no, thanks. And she's like, pardon? I don't want the bill. I'll be quite happy if you give it to somebody else. Because to me, she asked the question, there's the answer. You don't have to like it. But it is the answer you're going to get. So, all in all, it boils down to this. And some of you will get this one straight. Okay. Malu goes, Skip to the doctor is always a funny conversation. Oh, yeah. The doctor that I started taking the medication because of, she asked if I'd take it. I said, yeah, until I figure out my system. She goes, that I do want you on these medications for the rest of your life. I looked at her and I says, oh, I understand entirely what you want. So I will give you my word. I will stay on them until I get my system back in balance. Okay. Now, she's retired. I don't have to worry about it. Because I'm telling you, my system's getting back in balance. But it's being done my way. With logical, quantifiable, corroborative evidence. I'm not just going to jump out the window and go, I can fly. I don't believe in gravity. I've seen way too many people that have pulled that off. Okay. That's the reality behind it. Where are we here? Now, I'm going to hit, where are we here? Refresh to see what we're dealing with. There is no question from my standpoint, by working together, we can make this world a better place, in spite of the so-called elites. Okay. Yeah. Storm goes, it's okay. Gravity believes in you. I know one guy in the States, okay, that went skydiving twice. Both of his computers candled, and he landed safely on his feet. Now, I'm telling you, one guy can do it. Now, listen, I'm about to say something. Please, guys, there are millions of people in the States and billions around the world. I have heard of one that jumped out of a plane. Okay. And he jumped out in both of his parachutes candled. In other words, they got tangled and turned into what looked like a Roman candle. Both times. Why he got up the second time, I'll never know. But the first time it happened, he landed safely. He went back up. Like, he landed on his feet and walked off. Okay, he went back up. Jumped again. I don't know why he jumped in the first place. I've never understood the idea of getting out of a perfectly good aircraft. I'm patient. If I'm in the aircraft and it's not in trouble, I'll come down when it gets here. But he jumps out a second time, does it again. Caught it on film the first time, actually. Does it again. Then he goes about again, finally got it tested properly. One guy in over 8 billion people jumped out of an aircraft. Yeah, world goes, who was the elf? Who was the elf packing the chute? So one guy in 8 billion. Now, I'm a firm believer. There are a lot of people out there. I'm not going to name names. There's a lot of people out there that I know will argue the point. Well, he can do it, so can I. Please, absolutely, do not do this. I tell you not to try it at home, but I don't know anybody with a 30,000-foot roof and ceiling. Okay, but I know somebody out there is going to go, oh, well, he did. He survived, so I'm going to go jump. It's not a good idea unless you're trying to thin out the herd. Okay, and there is a place for people like you that fits onto the Darwin Awards, darwinawards.com. It's a great site for showing all the neat things that people have done, sometimes without thinking, sometimes more often than, well, always without thinking, I'm sure of it, sometimes with true ignorance. One guy I knew of decided he was going to siphon gas. So he went to a trailer park, with a bunch of campers, and went to siphon the gas out of the back pipe on a travel trailer, on a motorhome. I knew of another one that tried checking the level of gas in a tank he wanted to siphon. He used a lighter. Now, I'm telling you, he got all the gas out of the tank that he checked with the lighter. But these are people that were destined these are the people that were destined for the Darwin Awards. Now, I'm a firm believer. Darwin had it straight. People will sort themselves out. You can't legislate intelligence. I cannot make you correct the energy in your house. I can tell you, if you haven't done it already, if you haven't removed the clutter, I will tell you, do so, because it will improve your energy level, your concentration, your sleeping patterns, your overall health will be improved. Okay, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Okay, give it a shot if you haven't done it, and find out for yourself. Okay, that's just the reality behind it. Now, this week we're looking. Hopefully I've got it here somewhere. Of course not. I moved it someplace. I love when I do that. It's not that one. Here we are. This is that neat little sheet that I've got to tell me what's going on. So, tomorrow is Sunday. We have open topic. Bring your questions. Any topic, don't care. Okay. I will cover virtually any of them. But next Saturday, there we go. We are looking at communication. Okay. Designing the new you. How to get your communication lines out running on all fronts. And we'll get into that next week. But Monday, what do we do? Monday, we are looking at... Oh, yes. Monday is when we deal with aliens. So we'll be looking at the Caboran. Okay. That funny thing you call Earth. Okay. That is a living entity. Okay. And we're going to discuss how that all comes about and how they reproduce and the whole 9 yards. Then on Tuesday... okay. On Tuesday, we are going to be going into the gaming world. Okay. But we're going to show you how the imagination coincides and works with reality. The power of the imagination is mind-boggling. Okay. For some of you, that's a pretty small jump. Now, that was rude. And then on Wednesday, we are going to be looking at the communication lines. No, Wednesday, where are we? Wednesday, we're going back a little bit and we're going to be looking at the thinking of society or the apparent thinking. Okay, now, with this in mind, we're hitting the 2-hour mark. Therefore, I do want to take this time to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I will be back again, assuming I don't up and drop dead. And even then, I'll be back. But I do want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. I will be back. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.